After slavery, the gendered legacies of the Mafa in colonial Africa. The Mafa, meaning great disaster in Swahili, refers to the African Holocaust. Centuries of enslavement, violence, and racial subjugation. Though slavery was formally abolished in the 19th century, the Mafa persisted through European colonialism, which entrenched racial and gender hierarchies under a different name. This presentation then seeks to examine how colonialism continued the Mafa's trauma, particularly for African women, and how these histories shape today's human rights and struggles. Colonialism didn't end slavery's violence, it transformed it. After abolition, European powers invaded Africa, exploring land, labor, and bodies. Atrocities like those in Congo Free State and the Herero genocide show that colonial rule was built on systematic human rights violations, echoing the racial logic of slavery. Colonial regimes imposed European patriarchy on African societies, eroding women's pre-colonial roles in trade, politics, and land ownership. Customary rights were stripped as colonial law privileged men, reshaping gender relations through force. Though some gendered violence existed pre-colonially, colonialism institutionalized inequality in law and labor. African women resisted. In Nigeria, the 1929 Aba Women's Revolt defined colonial taxation. In Ghana, Jah Asantewaa led an armed rebellion against the British. Women were vital in independence struggles but were often marginalized afterward. These examples show how women fought both racial and gender domination. Modern gender and racial inequalities are rooted in this colonial past. While independence brought legal sovereignty, patriarchal colonial structures remained, and women continue to face exclusion. Today, African women still battle unequal laws, violence, and political invisibility, problems both born from slavery and colonialism. The Mafa didn't end with slavery, it evolved. Colonialism deepened racial and gendered injustices that persist to this day. Recognizing this legacy is vital to any meaningful human rights agenda. Honoring women's resistance and challenging lingering inequalities are necessary steps towards justice and historical healing. A path forward demands more than remembrance. It requires active reckoning with the legacy of the Mafa, whose gendered and racial injustices were only reshaped, not erased, by colonialism. Justice must involve reparative measures, including educational reform, legal redress, and economic investment in historically marginalized communities. Healing then requires amplifying the voices of African and Afro-descendant women whose resistance has long been silenced. By confronting entrenched inequalities and dismantling the patriarchal and racial hierarchies inherited from slavery and empire, we begin to reclaim dignity, restore agency, and build a future grounded in truth and accountability.